Okay, e-learners, we are taking a quiz right now. You have 10 minutes to take it as well. You will see it posted, unless you're live right now. You will see this quiz posted under the assignments on Microsoft Teams. So when you take it, you have 10 minutes to take it as well. If you're watching this video and you're not live, then go ahead and skip forward until the actual class begins. Yes, Julie? First three questions, I'm looking for the property. Sit there and be smart. Mm-hmm. Yes. No. Ma'am.
Can I have Kaden Egbert for the office, please?
He's on his way. You close to finishing or no? Okay, yeah, go. All right, let's chill out for. Thank you. Let's wait for him to get back and then yes. About 3 minutes left. 3 minutes left. All right, make sure your names are on those. Pass them to the left. Rylan, how you feeling? Are you drinking water? Are you kidding? Attention.
Are you breathing? Yeah, attention. Hello.
All right, do I have all the quizzes? Quiz eye. All right. Grab your homework, get it up. Yeah.
Are you working today? Yeah, I was like, yes.
Give you so much sugar. Get ready for the day. What's 9/11? Oh, wait, when's 9/11?
Friday. Okay. Any questions on the homework? Questions? Eyeballs up here, please. Questions on the homework? All right. Let's go over this real quick. If I had 4 negatives and I multiplied them together, the answer would be
Positive.
If I had 11 negatives and I multiplied them together, the answer would be
Negative.
All right, that's the whole lesson right there. All right. Pass this basket around. Place your homework inside the baskets. Today is the 9th.
Wait, I put today's date on it. It makes it look like I did.
All right, everyone else. This doesn't require talking. Let's see, we just took the quiz. We're going to have lesson 2.7 today. That's it for the week. I mean, it's just regular lessons for the rest of the week. Test when we come back next week.
Okay.
All right, here's your homework. Hey, today for some of you is a challenging day. I didn't say everyone, but for some of you, today could be a challenging day. Hey, let's, Tristan, you're going to collect homework, you're going to collect everyone's homework. And,
Come back. He said he wasn't ready yet.
and for the rest of you, you guys need to be ready to turn in your homework.
Yeah. He's ready.
Okay. Waiting on you guys to be quiet so we can go. Hey, Tristan. Go. Okay, so I start off by saying today could be a challenging day for some of you. For others of you that are quick to learn things and can pick up on skills, it's not a hard day. But for some of you, this might be a bit challenging. So when we get to days like this, I certainly don't want to slow up the kids that get it really quickly. I also don't want to go at the speed of the slowest person in the class. So what I need you guys to do is, if you have questions, to stop me before you get very confused. Okay? All right, here we go. So we did do this last year. We had an introductory class on it, and it was something called consecutive integers. Okay? There are 2 methods to do this. One is called guess and check, and one is called the algebraic method. Today we will be learning the algebraic method. For the ones that we did last year, the numbers are really simple, right? You can certainly do a guess and check. That's not the case for this year. So you will not be able to do a good guess and check. You will have to use this algebraic method. Here we go. So maybe you remember from last year, right? We're going to be doing something called consecutive integers, and you've seen this slide now at least 6 times. Integers are the natural, the counting numbers. They're opposites and adding 0. So we're talking about just the number, not fractions, not decimals, integers. That's positive and negative numbers, and 0. Write this down. Box 1. There's 3 boxes there. 3 boxes. Consecutive integers. Some of you already know what this means. For others of you, you don't. These are integers that increase by 1. Well, how many? Well, it depends on how many you want. You might want 5 consecutive integers. You might want 2. Since it's plural, you need to have at least 2. Tonight for homework, I don't think they have you do more than 4. But you might have 4 consecutive integers. These are numbers that increase by 1. Chris, pick a number. An integer, I should say. What? 3, 4, 5. You picked the one I picked. 3, 4, 5 are consecutive integers. These are numbers that simply increase by 1. The 3 dots here on the left and the right simply mean that those numbers continue on forever. Just because he said he started with 3 doesn't mean they stop there. If I said name 3 consecutive integers, well then that would be 3, 4, 5. If I just say consecutive integers, they could also decrease by 1. Next one, second box down, right? Consecutive even integers. It's the same idea, except this time they increase by 2. So for instance, 2, 4, 6, right? 6, 8, 10. Same idea. 40, you writing this down? Guess what the next one's going to be? So what would you think it's going to say? If it's consecutive odd, guess what they increase by?
3.
You would think that they would need to increase by an odd number because they're consecutive odd. But guess what? They still increase by 2. You think that there's a difference between even and odd. They're not there. There are numbers that increase by 2. And that's because numbers, the integers go odd, even, odd, even, odd, even, odd, even. So for instance, 7, 9, 11. So that should not be, with the exception of consecutive, right? That should not be news to anyone. If I said, give me odd numbers, give me even numbers, you can do that. So consecutive just simply means one that follows the other. So if it's strictly consecutive integers, they do increase by 1. If I say consecutive even or consecutive odd, those are even or odd numbers that increase by 2. Is anyone lost so far? You see the next box? It also has 3 spaces. The first one's going to be consecutive integers, the second one's going to be consecutive even, and the third one's going to be consecutive odd. What's the name of this class? It is called algebra. In algebra, we use variables in place of numbers. So guess what you're about to do? You're going to do all 3 of these, except not with numbers, with variables. Okay?
You just do.
So the game today is this. For tonight, for homework, they're going to ask you something about consecutive. It could be integers. It could be consecutive even. It could be consecutive odd. But they're not going to tell you what the numbers are, right? They're going to ask you to, or they're going to give you the sum or the product, right, of these numbers, and they're going to ask you to come up with these numbers. In other words, you're not going to know what the numbers are. That's what you have to calculate, right? So you will find the consecutive numbers or the consecutive even or consecutive odd. They will tell you what the sum is or the product, okay? We're going to use everything that we've learned in chapter 2 up to this point in order to answer this question of what are these consecutive numbers. Okay, so yes, you know, you can certainly do a guess and check, right? But some of them you're not going to be able because the numbers are so weird, especially the ones that say product or the ones that say, we'll see, there's one that's a bit more complicated. Yeah.
So couldn't you just do like, if it was like 3 consecutive numbers equals this, could you just do 81, like 3x equals 81?
Okay, we'll talk about that here in a second. All right, so let's think about if we don't know what these numbers are. So I'm going to use a picture to represent the problem. So I want you to pick 3 consecutive numbers, right? 1, 2, 3. And let's figure out what they are, right? So a box represents each one of the numbers. Here's the first one, here's the second one, here's the third one. Do we know anything about these numbers? Only that they're consecutive, right? So if you don't know what the first one is, guess what we write? Okay. Well, if we knew the numbers, well, it could be 2, 3, 4. But when we don't know the numbers, well, since you're in algebra, the first one is x. Now, here's where you put your thinking caps on. Chris, you with me? Yes. Okay, look at the board. What's the difference between 2 and 3?
1.
So then what would be the difference between this one and the next one? It would be this
2.
plus 1. Do you see that? Well, what's the difference between this one and this one? So then what's the difference between this one and this one? Now you guys got to take a look at that and make sure you can wrap your head around that. I want 3 consecutive numbers, but I'm not going to tell you what they are. If I tell you the first one is 2, well, then it's 2, 3, 4. But if I don't tell you what the first one is, you got to throw a variable. But since they're consecutive, we can use, it's not a trick, right? We can use this method. Well, the first one, if they're consecutive, is x. Well, the second one has got to be 1 more than the original, so x plus 1. And the third one has to be 2 more than the original. What would be the next one?
3 more.
X plus 3. What would be the next one? Okay, well, that's how that game is played, right? Well, what about even, right? Once again, there's 3 numbers. They're consecutive even numbers. For instance, 6, 8, 10. Chris, eyeballs on the board. This is how you stay with the class. Once again, in algebra, they're not going to tell you what the numbers are. So the first one is x. What's the second one? What's the third one? What's the fourth one? Who's lost on that idea? Okay. What's the next slide I'm going to show you? Consecutive odd numbers. All right. So, for instance, I don't know, 7, 9, 11. First one is x. What's the next one? So the kid that isn't paying attention because I said odd immediately wants to write x plus 1 or maybe x plus 3, but it's not. Consecutive odd numbers also increase by 2.
And even numbers too?
And even numbers. It's actually the same thing. So the second odd one is x plus 2. What's the third one? What's the fourth one? You guys got the idea. Do we need to write that down? I gave you space for it. If you need to write this down, this is what you need to write down. In the colors is what you need to write down. Whether it's all colored. Anyway, define consecutive numbers. The first one is x. The second one is x plus 1. The third one is x plus 2. Define consecutive. And by the way, dot, dot, dot means this continues. The pattern continues. So if it's the fourth one, it would be x plus 3. The fifth one, x plus 4. If they ask you to find consecutive even numbers, it's x. You really need to write this down. Okay. First one is x. The second one is x plus 2. The third one is x plus 4. Fourth one be x plus 6. Fifth one, x plus 8. So forth and so on. And check it out. There's no difference between odd and even. Well, I mean, there is a difference. It's the x. In this case, the first number is going to be an even number. And on this one, the odd one, the first number, the first x, is going to be an odd number. So there's really just two patterns here. The blue one and the green or the red, purple, pink, whatever that color is. Yeah.
For odd numbers, why didn't you put odd
I did.
numbers? No, oh wait, no, because it's plus 2. Never mind.
Right. And that's the thing that kids, you got to wrap your heads around is that for the consecutive odd numbers, it's not x plus 3 or x plus 1. It's still x plus 2 and then x plus 4 and x plus 6. If you're on a test, which this will be on the test, and you forget all this and you didn't put it on your resource card, just do what I did, which was write 3 consecutive odd or even or regular numbers. And then just figure out in your own mind, well, what would that be? Is that x plus 1 or is that x plus 2? Does that make sense? Okay. That's the easy part of the class right there. We good to move on? Okay. So the game today is this. They're going to say there are 3 consecutive numbers whose sum is blah. What are those 3 consecutive numbers? It's just an algebra problem. So I will give you the sum of those consecutive numbers. You will come up with what those numbers are. Okay? You got to find those consecutive numbers. We're going to use everything we learned. That means a distributive property. That means combining like terms, all that jazz. So here we go. Here's the first example. It says the sum of 4 consecutive numbers is 66. It says write an equation that models this. So they're not asking you what are the 4 numbers, they're saying what is the equation. Like, well, what equation would they be talking about? Okay. What says the sum of 4 consecutive numbers? Well, if it's consecutive numbers, what's the first one?
X.
Okay, what's the second one?
X plus 1.
Okay, so we have first, second, third, fourth, right? And then we have their sum. So you said the first one is what?
X.
What's the second one?
X plus 1.
Third one? Fourth one? Oh, let me catch up. You see what I'm doing? It says sum. What does sum mean?
Equal. Or addition.
Addition. So I'm adding all these together, right? And they're supposed to equal what in this case?
66.
All right. I said we're going to use everything that we learned this year. So can we combine like terms here? Okay, how many x's do I have?
4.
So that would be 4x plus,
Doesn't 4x mean multiplication?
it does mean multiplication. That's repeated addition, remember?
All right.
3 plus 2 plus 1. Okay, if we had to, by the way, this is how I would write it. The book will write it this way. Why do they write it that way? Because the parentheses represent each one of these numbers. Right? I'm okay with that. The parentheses don't change any for this one. But when you look at the book as their example, this is the one that I use as well too. They're going to have it in parentheses. All it means is that's the first number, second number, third number, fourth number. Okay, how many x's do we have?
4.
And the constants add up to, so this is 4x plus 6 equals 66. That would be what you would need to solve in order to find out what the first one is. Have we solved any equations this year yet? Nope. No, that's the next chapter. So we'll save that for next chapter. Okay. So for homework, some of them will say write the equation. Some of them will say what's the answer. And you're going to see what they mean here when we talk about that. So first couple of them are just, hey, write the equation. There's the equation. All right, one more. The sum of 3 consecutive even integers is 30. Do the same thing. Even integers, what's the first one? What's the second one? Where's she getting this from? They're even, right? So they increased by 2. So the first one was x, the second one was, and that's because they're even. And the third one is, and we're told that their sum, that means addition is 30. The book will write it like that. They're separating it with parentheses. What's the first, second, and third term, right? But we know this as combined like terms now. 1, 2, 3 x's. So that's plus 3x plus 6 equals 30. Who's lost? Okay, how many x's do you see? So that's why there's 3 x's. What's 2 plus 4? And we're told the sum is 30, and that's all I do. But I would like to just make sure you understood that part right there. The x plus 2, and x plus 4. Okay. All right, let's do one together. Box 3. Here we go. Box 3, box 3, box 3. It says the sum of 3 consecutive integers is 318. It doesn't say consecutive even or consecutive odd. It just says consecutive numbers. So Aiden, what's the first? Yep. The first one will always be. Okay. Now, it says consecutive integers. It doesn't say consecutive even or odds. Therefore, if the first one is x, the second one is. Okay. This 1 plus 1, and the third one is. Okay. If it said consecutive even, then the second one wouldn't be x plus 1. It would be x plus, and this one would be. You got this. Right? And we're told that that whole thing equals 318. Yes. How many numbers does it say? That was easy. All right. So the book is going to write it like that. Therefore, how many x's, Piper?
3.
And 1 plus 2 is? So this is 3x plus equals 318. Who's got their book open? How many of these do you have tonight for homework? Where it says write the equation. Okay. More of these than the second one where they actually want you to find the numbers. Okay, we good? Those are the easy ones. There are more challenging ones. Okay. One more easy one, just to make sure we got this. Nathan, read.
What?
Read.
I read it because someone's 3 things you
Consecutive.
yeah. On incident in 81 right and equation model.
Okay, so how many numbers are we trying to find?
3.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. I would absolutely recommend you do this, right? Even if you put 1 tick mark, 2 tick marks, 3 tick marks, right? All right, Nathan, the first number therefore would be, it says consecutive odd, so therefore the second one is, okay, and the third one, you got this. And what is the sum?
81.
You got to tell me if you're lost. Chris, how many x's do we have?
3.
And 2 plus 4?
Oh, 5. No, I'm sorry, 6.
So therefore, what do you want me to write?
6x plus 81.
Take a deep breath.
6, 8 plus
Take a deep breath. How many x's?
6.
So what do you want me to write?
6.
You just told me how many x's?
I said 3.
So what do you want me to write?
6. I mean, x. No, dang it, now I'm confused.
How many x's?
There's 3.
So what do you want me to write?
3. No.
Yes.
3x.
Yes.
Okay.
Now continue for the rest of it.
3x plus 81.
What happened before in the 2?
What do you want?
All I'm doing is combining like terms. X's with X's, numbers with numbers. X's go with X, numbers go with numbers.
So it is 3x
Keep going.
plus 681. No.
Yes.
Really? Yay.
You got to tell me if you're lost.
Wait.
Your sister's like saying, why is he going so slow? Right? You got to tell me if you're lost. If you're lost, we can do more.
I wasn't lost.
You were certainly confused, right? All right.
So
Where are you lost?
5.
What's the second part that I did? Okay, you're saying this? Okay, count the X's. There's 3 X's. What's that say? What's 2 and 4? Okay, now tell me where you lost. I'm assuming that we got this, yes? Okay. All right, that was too easy. I mean, that really is more pre-algebra than it is algebra 1. Let's do some algebra problems. All right, what's the difference? What's the difference? It doesn't say sum, it says product.
Oh,
So instead of putting a plus between the terms, we're going to put a
times.
multiplication symbol between the terms. Okay? So, how many consecutive integers am I doing here?
2.
Everybody see it says 2? Okay, I'm doing 2 consecutive, but I am doing the product. So I got the first and the second. What's always the first? Okay, it says consecutive integers, right? So it doesn't say even or odd. So therefore, the second one is going to be x plus 1. But what are we doing between them this time?
Multiply.
Now you got to pay attention. I only want to say this once. You see this right here? What's actually being multiplied if I leave it like this? What's actually being multiplied if I leave it like this? Is this x being multiplied by 1? But I want it to. I want this to be multiplied by this because it says the product of these 2 numbers. Well, the first number is x, the second number is x plus 1. If I leave it the way it states right now, what's actually being multiplied? Where is the dot? The dot is next to the 2 x's. As it is right now, by PEMDAS, what's being multiplied? X times x. I don't want that. I want this to be multiplied by this. What must I do? I gotta use, who said that? Sarah. I need to, Anna. I don't know why I said Sarah. I need to have parentheses. I need to have parentheses. You see what I did there? Now is the first number being multiplied by the second number. Okay. I did not need to do that with addition, right? Because addition is, well, it's commutative. I can combine like terms. There's nothing to combine right here. It's this number times that number. Who's lost on that? This is different than addition. The only difference is you got to put parentheses. For addition, well, if you want to put parentheses, good on you. You don't have to. You see product, you got to put parentheses around the things you're multiplying. I'm not sure if you guys got that or not. Sounds easy, but it sounds like it's easily forgotten. We okay? We better do a challenging one. Okay, now everyone put your pencils down. This is the one that Josie is trying to solve right now, but she can't do it.
I think I got it.
Okay, so here we go. We have seen this. The last time we did word problems, we saw this. This is the one that you were all panicking over. You're like, it's that one where there's these 2 numbers, and somehow you got to set them equal to each other. So let's see if we can manage our way through this one. But this is the challenging one. Rylan, pay attention. Rylan. All right, here we go. It says the greater of 2 consecutive even integers is 6 less than twice the smaller. I want to run away immediately. It looks too hard. Okay? There's a lot of stuff here. The greater of 2 consecutive even integers is 6 less than twice the smaller. Let me help you to show you that this is actually fairly easy. How many numbers are we talking about here?
Oh,
How many numbers are we actually talking about here? We're talking about 2 numbers. How do I know 2 numbers? How do I know it's 2 numbers?
consecutive, the greater and smaller.
It says there's a greater and a smaller. I'm really only talking about 2 numbers, a small one and a big one. So what do you want to call them?
Big and small.
That's what I would call them as well too, smaller and greater, right? Okay, are we good on that so far? It says the greater of two consecutive even. And you can get that also from the fact it says two consecutive even numbers. Well, if they're consecutive even numbers, what's the smaller?
6 less.
No. We're just looking at, I got two consecutive even numbers. What's the smaller of the two? What's the larger of the two? Do you agree that they're consecutive numbers? They got to be written that way. We're not worried about the rest of that mess. This is the start. The start is you have two consecutive even numbers. Well, the first one's got to be x. The second one is x plus 2. Now we deal with the rest of that mess. Do you see the word is? What did we say that is always means?
Equal.
It means equal.
I remember that.
It's telling you how these two numbers are equal to each other. Are they equal right now? Like if I put an equal sign, they're not equal. One's smaller, one's bigger, right? They're not equal right now. But I'm going to make them equal by using the rest of that mess. The rest of that mess is 6 less than twice the smaller. That's what I'm going to put into a new equation. Smaller is x, the bigger is x plus 2.
So x minus.
Hold on. I need to take the rest of this stuff and somehow manipulate and put the numbers where they need to go.
Wait, I think.
Okay, so is the equal sign. The greater one is x plus 2, but check out what it literally says. Look what it literally says. It says the greater of two consecutive numbers. Which one is the greater?
X plus 2.
X plus 2. So I'm writing this exactly the way it reads in the sentence. The greater of two consecutive numbers, well, you just told me that the greater is x plus 2. There it is, so what should I put right here?
Equals.
You with me? What's the rest of that stuff say?
X minus x.
It says 6 less. How do you write 6 less?
-6.
You with me? Julie, I don't know. Then twice the smaller. Well, what's the smaller?
Oh.
And then what would be twice the smaller?
2x.
Well, there's your equation.
I did
That
it
makes
right.
sense.
Me too.
By the way, this is tough.
I did it.
This is tough.
That makes
We're going to do at least 2 of these.
sense.
Okay. And for homework, I think there's 2 of them as well, too. Number 10, I believe, is.
13 is making my life hard.
Okay. For those of you that have problems with this, you got to do it exactly what I said, what way I did it, which way, I did it really slowly, and I literally almost did it word for word. So one more time. It says the greater of two consecutive numbers, the greater. That means one's small and one's larger. It says they're consecutive even. So the first one is x, second one is x plus 2. If it says the greater of two consecutive numbers, then it would be x and x plus 1. Okay. It says the greater of the two is x plus 2. It says is, well, that's an equal sign. 6 less, that's a -6. And twice the smaller, well, the smaller is x, so double that would be 2x. And there's where it came from. Okay? Easier one? Yeah, this one's easier. The product of two consecutive even numbers. Okay, how do I write that? Well, I got the first one and I got the second one, right? And this time we're talking about product, which means, so what's the first one always? Now this says even, so the second one is, and it says the product, so what do I do with these two things? But I got to be careful. What do I need to do with the second one? I have to put it in parentheses. I did not have to with multiplication, right? The reason is this. If I leave it the way it visually appears right now, by PEMDAS, it would be x times x, then add it to 2. I want it to be x times, I want the first number times the second number. So I want this thing times this whole thing. That's why it needs to be in parentheses. Yes? Because it says product. Product means multiplication. Quantity would mean parentheses. The quantity of 2 and 4. That would be parentheses 2 plus 4. We okay? All right. Hard one. Number 6. Let's all try to do it together. This one's challenging. This one is challenging. Most challenging of the day. It says the smaller of two consecutive odd integers. How many numbers are we dealing with, Porter? 2, right? What kind of numbers are they? They're odd consecutive numbers, right? So we got the smaller and we got the larger, right? If there's 2. If there's 3, right, then it would be smaller, medium, large, something like that, okay? So we got smaller and large. What's always the smaller number?
X.
Porter? Okay. It says odd integers don't answer for Porter. What's the next one then? If they're odd. Perfect. Okay? So that's my setup. Piper, do you see the word is up there anywhere? As you read it, do you see the word is?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's right there. Is means what?
Equal.
Is means equal. So let's read what it says. Now, for those of you that were lost in the previous one, stay with me. It says, see where my hands are? The smaller of the 2 consecutive numbers. Which one is the smaller number?
X.
It literally says the smaller is X. So I write X is. So that's the equal sign. So I write X equals. Stop me if you're lost. It says the smaller, well, that's X, of those 2 is, so X equals. All right, the rest of the stuff, 8 more. How do I write 8 more?
Plus 8.
You with me? That's 8 more. 8 more than what?
And 1/3.
A third of the larger. How in the world do I write a third?
Divide by 3.
She said it divide by 3. You agree? Is that how you take a third? You divide by 3? Okay. Well, a third of what? What does it say? A third of, what's it say? It says a third of the,
X plus 2.
it says a third of the larger. Which one is the larger number? So I need to take a third of this thing. She said divide by 3. How do you write that? I gotta write that now. How do you write that? Is it X plus 2 divided by 3?
Yeah.
X plus 2 divided by 3. Am I taking a third of this? If I write it like that, am I taking a third of it?
Yeah.
I'm taking a third of 2.
You have to do it like the fraction bar.
So parentheses or fraction bar is what you would need. I'm going to go with fraction bar. So if this is the greater, and I want to divide the whole thing by 3, then I write fraction bar divided by 3. See what I did? This one's tough. Okay, how do you take a third of something? Then you put a 3. What are we taking a third of? We're taking a third of the larger number. Which one is the larger? It says greater. It's this one, X plus 2. So that's why it's X plus 2 divided by 3. Now, when I said that, I meant X plus 2 is in the numerator, right? And the top, and the denominator is 3. This is 8 more than a third of the bigger number. This is 8 more than a third, divided by 3 is a third, of the bigger number. The bigger number is X plus 2. It says the smaller of the 2 consecutive number is, equal sign, 8 more than a third of the larger. That's a lot of work. And oh, by the way, we don't even know what those 2 numbers are. Could anybody actually solve this?
Yeah, if we were given numbers.
No. Can you solve the, I mean, this is next chapter. Just to show you that they're not making these numbers up. Can anybody solve this?
What do you mean?
Can you solve this equation?
Probably.
I mean, this is next chapter stuff, but can anybody actually solve it?
Yeah.
All right, well, what do we got to do first?
You gotta
What's the
minus
thing?
8.
We could, but then it's on the other side.
Get rid of the
How about we get rid of the 3 first? How do you get rid of the 3?
the times.
Times everything by 3. So that times 3, that times 3, and this times 3. But the 3's cancel, and you're left with
X plus 2.
3x
Yeah.
equals x plus 2 plus
8 times 3.
24. Move the x to the other side. What would you get?
My brain hurts. 4x.
You move this x to that side, you get 4x?
Yeah, because you combine like terms.
Yeah, but it's across the equal sign.
What?
We got to subtract x from both sides. So that would give us
2x.
2x is equal to,
2 plus
26.
therefore x is equal to,
13.
well, if the smaller is 13, that means the larger is,
15.
well, let's see if that makes sense. It says the smaller of the two is 8 more than a third of the larger. Well, a third of the larger would be what?
5.
It'd be 5, and is 5 8 less than 13? Or is 13 8 more? I'm saying the same way. It is. So the two numbers were 13 and 15. You didn't have to do this, but I just wanted to show you, because this was weird. I wanted to show you that, in fact, you do get to the right answer. Okay. Enough of that sidetrack, and no, you're not responsible for solving equations until next time. All right. Second part is there's only a few of these. It's the same as the first, except you're actually going to get to an actual answer this time. So make sure you stay with me. Flip the paper over. Box 7. As the sum of 3 consecutive odd integers is 81, what's the smallest? And it gives you 3 options. So remember when I started the class, I said, yes, you can do guess and check. Well, you can do guess and checks right from the start, because one of these is the right answer. But let's just do it the regular way. All right, let's just do this one. We'll call it a day. All right, Nathan, help me through. 3 consecutive odd integers. What's the first one? Okay, the second one would be perfect. The third one, perfect. And the sum is supposed to be? Okay. So we put all those together. How many x's, Piper?
3.
And what do we get for the rest of it?
3x
Plus,
3x plus 6.
perfect, is 81. It tells us 3 possible answers. One of these is the answer. Well, which one is it? Well, let's try 20. What's 3 times 20? Plus 6, not 81.
Oh,
Let's try 30. 3 times 30?
90,
Plus 6,
96,
not 81. It better be 25. 3 25s?
75,
Plus 6.
81.
There's your answer. See how I did that?
Yeah.
All right. We only got to that one, but the rest are done exactly the same way. And how many of those do we have tonight for homework? A couple of them.
You should have like a napping hubby, like right around somewhere by
I actually, I don't fall asleep until 6 p.m.-ish is when I usually get tired. I'm usually wide awake. All right, guys, if you have any questions, e-learners, send me an email. If not, I will see you guys tomorrow.